Hello, this is chapter 180 of The Flower of Freedom by Deborah J. Reeves. All rights to both the book and presentation are reserved. This is part of our Virtuous Cycle project. We hope that by pouring a little into you, a little entertainment, a little rest, a few ideas, that perhaps you'll have a little that you can feel free to pour into some other soul on this planet. We all need a little kindness. You know it's true. Please take your seat either in the chair that we've provided for your imagination or anywhere else that you find comfort for a few minutes. Here we go on chapter 180, Petals of Blown Flowers. The day after Richard and the two fathers buried Hans Schmidt in a corner of Potter's Field with no marker, the receiving group made the somber trip to the airport. No transatlantic flight had ever been longer. Even Inspector Cloutier made the trip because of Hans Schmidt's status as a notorious criminal that had plagued France. They were all exhausted when they landed in Montreal, but they all soldiered on, supporting one another. Detective Sergeant Richard and Jean-Claude met them as they debarked, and they had arranged for transportation to Quebec City. On the trip down the highway, Jean-Claude filled them in on Bertie and Marie's condition, which was steadily improving. Marie was conscious again, he informed them, but he said that they might find her withdrawn. He reported that Colette and Oscar were expecting them, and they had arranged overnight accommodations with the help of the local doctors who were assisting them. Jean-Claude sat next to Monsieur Depardieu, and Madame Depardieu sat next to her husband. Jean-Claude told them that he would help them in any way they wanted, including with the arrangements if they wished. Detective Sergeant Richard sat with Inspector Cloutier, but they did not have more than a superficial conversation until they shared a room that night. Then they examined the detailed note that Emmanuel Depardieu had given the inspector. It held details that the police had no way of knowing. It explained a lot. The funeral was set for 2 days later. It was to be held at the Basilica where Philippe and Marie had planned to be married. The group from France made the trip back to Montreal without Monsieur and Madame Depardieu. They accompanied Philippe's body back to Montreal, and Jean-Claude arranged for them to be in a hotel apart from the others, as they had requested. He promised to collect them, to take them to the Basilica for the funeral. Oscar and Colette did not have an easy return to Montreal either. Just when they thought their grief was at a maximum, they had to focus on the grief of all of their children. As they laid in the darkness holding each other the night before the funeral, Oscar said, "I cannot take this in. God has always been so good to me that I cannot understand this happening. Even when Des died, God gave me you and Marie and Bertie. Marie always said that she was never getting married. When she fell in love with Philippe, I absolutely knew that he was a gift from God. No one else could have changed her mind. I'm disoriented. This is challenging my faith. I cannot reconcile God giving us such a gift and then yanking it back like this. What was the purpose of even allowing Hans to be born? And what are we supposed to learn from this sort of horror?" Colette responded in a whisper, "Light and dark. They're a pair, even if we don't have the ability to understand how it works." "I have many desperate questions too, Oscar. I do. Why was I the one who brought him into our lives? I can never forgive myself for that, never." Oscar instantly regretted giving voice to his pain. What? Stop that! You did not bring him into our lives. He attempted to take yours, and you had the strength to stop him, and the unbelievable strength to bring life out of his deadly intentions. You got us Bertie. You're the hero of this story, Colette, not the villain. Maybe that's the answer. Is it possible that death brings new fertility to life so that we can all keep going? I cannot think about that right now, Oscar. I'm glad about Bertie, and Bertie's life led to us having Alicia. You know that I'm grateful. Right now, though, I have to think about Marie. Right now, when I think of Marie's well-being, it comes with all the memories of what we lost, and I cannot even begin to imagine anything good coming of this. Right now, I can't even imagine that the sun will come up tomorrow morning. They did not exactly sleep that night. It was more like they endured the darkness until the morning threatened to bring light back into the world. Colette got up first, and she was grateful when she saw that Oscar had eventually found respite in troubled sleep. On the morning of the funeral, Oscar awoke just as daylight was breaking through the expanded window that Bertie had installed. And Colette was not there. He went upstairs to find her. She was sitting on the floor with her back against the cupboards under the kitchen sink. He went over and he sat beside her. She smiled up at him as he slid his back down the cupboards and settled on the floor. She said, Oscar, I just don't understand this. My mind keeps singing the lyrics to a song I heard on the radio. I do not even think I took notice of it at the time, but the lines keep playing over and over in my head. Why does the sun go on shining? Why do the stars shine above? Don't they know it's the end of the world? It happened when I lost your love. Oscar, I don't know how Marie will go on. I can hardly go on, and I know I have no right to feel this way. I know that I would not want to keep living our life without you. Marie and Philippe reminded me so much of how I feel about you. He was her perfect match. They had almost no time together. How will she endure it? After a pause, Oscar said, with our help, with our love, we will stand with her and hold her up. I'm not sure how we'll cope with the twins, though. We have to keep them away from Marie today. Maybe we should get a babysitter for them? That's the end of chapter 180. We ask that you help us get to more and more people by giving us a like and a thumbs up. Well, I think they're the same thing. And subscribe. Apparently that helps an algorithm. Introduce this to many more people. And the more people who hear, we hope, more people will be inspired to plant their own seed in a virtuous cycle. I remain your friend, Deborah. Bye-bye.